Hi, welcome to another episode of the High Achieving Female Podcast powered by No. I'm Sarah Benkin-Fishy, your host, and I am so excited about this episode today. This one is for my authors or aspiring authors. Today, you're going to meet Melanie Herschorn. She is a Phoenix-based professional and media guru. She's the founder of VIP Digital Content, and she is going to share with you how being an author can help you make a big impact in the world, and dare I say, your business. Enjoy this episode. And of course, if you enjoyed it, please give us some love by liking it, reviewing it, and sharing with your best gal pal. Welcome to the High Achieving Female Podcast powered by No, where we believe high achieving female leaders deserve to be known. Here, you're going to get the tips, tools, and inspiration you need to network, grow, scale, and balance your business, career, and life.
Hi, I'm Melanie Herschorn. I'm the founder of VIP Digital Content. I like to say that I bridge the gap between publishing and publicity. So I help authors make a big impact by creating their online presence and marketing around a book and their book launch and their brand. Today, I want to talk about how being an author can really help you make a big impact in the world. Now, I want to say that if you are an author already and you've written a book and you haven't done anything with it, let me remind you that a book does not fall off a cliff. It does continue to have meaning, and you can continue to share your message with the world. So don't let it collect dust on the shelf. And let me also say that if you have a book in mind and you haven't yet put pen to paper, that's okay. Maybe this is the sign that you needed to hear and to get. So go ahead and start writing. Because when you are an author, that book can really help you share your message with the world, with so many more people than you could ever help in a one-to-one or program capacity, because sometimes there's a barrier to entry for people to work with you. But a book, that is a much lower ticket item. And that really allows you to share your message with the world as a whole. So if you've thought about being an author and you are kind of wondering, well, how do I get published? There is really it's a great time in the world to be an author, because you are not waiting for the big publishing houses, those traditional publishing houses, to find you, give you an advance and all that stuff. You don't have to wait for that. You can use a hybrid publisher, you can self-publish, and that is such an amazing way to become an author. So that said, when I work with clients as a marketing specialist and strategist, one question I always ask is, what's your mission? And the answer I usually get is like a high level answer. And it's, well, I want to help people do X, Y, and Z. Or this thing has been tapping on my heart, and I really want to make a difference because of something. And I say, that's great. That's wonderful. I love that. But why are you really doing this? What's really deep down? And 10 times out of 10, an answer comes that they've been pushing down a little bit. And, that's really why you do what you do. So sometimes it's something you've been through in your past. Sometimes it's something you've watched someone else go through. Whatever that is, that story, that kernel, that's the thing that you want to bring forth and you want to share, because that is how you begin to make that bigger impact. So for me, my mission, my why, it took me a really long time to even be able to say it out loud. When I closed my former business, I launched this one and I said, okay, well, I'm going to do marketing. I know about marketing, and I'm just going to plow ahead, help entrepreneurs with their marketing. What I didn't stopped to think about was what was really driving me. And that story actually didn't come out of my mouth until I was in the middle of a launch live on Facebook and Zoom. And I actually started crying while I was talking. And when I got off that meeting, I took some time. I spoke to somebody that had been watching, and she said to me, that's your why. And I said, I don't feel comfortable sharing that with people again. That was really, really hard. She said, but that's going to make the difference. And I want you to realize that storytelling is really wrapped up in how we as humans remember things, how we retain information, how we get interested in things and they stick with us. And that's how you continue to make a big impact. So when you write your book and you fill it with stories, that's how you're going to help even more people with your message. So telling you what my mission is to help authors who are subject matter experts, whether it's nonfiction authors or children's book authors. It's to help them share their message to make this world a better place. And how did I get there? Why is that my why?
This week's episode of the High Achieving Female Podcast is brought to you by the No Global Membership. It's time. Get in the room to network with women you want and need to know. Link to join the membership is in the show notes below. And don't forget, you can also claim your freebie today.
Well, it's kind of a couple of things. In a former life, I was a journalist. And one of my all-time favorite things to do was to tell other people's stories. And when I no longer got a chance to do that because I was laid off when I was 5 months pregnant, long story, I thought, all right, well, I'm not going to be able to do this anymore. What can I do now? And I had this crazy idea to design and manufacture breastfeeding clothing. So that's what I did. And I sold my clothes on Nordstrom.com and on Amazon and in boutiques across North America. But about year 6, I felt like, I need some help with my marketing. I really need to hire an expert to help me, push forward. Unfortunately, the woman I hired was toxic. And there were many things that she did, but the things that stand out the most are there was a lot of gaslighting, and there was a lot of, Melanie, you have a master's degree. Why are you so boring? Why can you not share anything interesting in your marketing? And I just kept paying her more and more money, hoping that she would do what she had promised. And in the end, I felt like I was an inch tall. I had no self-esteem left. And not long after that, I closed the business because, I was done. I couldn't even open the door to my office. And my office was in my house, but I couldn't go there. I couldn't face it anymore. I was done. Hit a wall, burnt out, done. And so when I finally sort of got, picked myself up, dusted myself off, I thought, well, what can I do now? I've learned so much about marketing, as a journalist, as a PR professional, as somebody who was marketing my clothing and learned from an expert. I can help people, but I can help them in a way that I'm going to be their advocate. I'm going to be their support system, and I'm never going to make them feel as rotten as I was made to feel. So that's why. That's really what drives me is that desire to make people feel good about their marketing, because I know that what they're doing is so important and I want to help them make this world a better place. So what does a book do for you? It provides, well, first of all, credibility, right? It's that credibility. It's like, well, I'm an expert on marketing book and hey, I wrote the book on it, right? That expertise, that credibility it just goes hand in hand with having written a book. But it goes so much further because you then have that ability to amplify your authority by getting more people into your ecosystem, getting people to say, oh, you know what? I read her book and now I want to buy her program, or I want to hire her to speak on a stage. And the more you are out there in the world sharing your mission, the greater the impact that you will have. And that is all because you sat down and poured your thoughts into a book. A lot of times people say, well, is a book going to make me a thought leader? And I mean, look, you can't just wake up tomorrow morning and go, I'm a thought leader now. Someone kind of has to bestow that title upon you. But yes, having a book does push you into thought leader category, because you are taking your knowledge and you are putting it into, you're solidifying it and then sharing it out with the world.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the High Achieving Female Podcast, powered by No, where we believe it's time for high achieving women like you to be seen, heard, and recognized. Until next time, remember, you deserve to be known.